storytelling, super important. David Ruff, we saw the fruits of your labor. You've gotten to see a lot of this work up close, and you've been really active in passing on this story and sending it out into the world. What have you found to be the most important tools or tactics or approaches in telling that story and in making sure that the way we tell it snaps people out of complacency and gets them to really care about climate change in the earth?
It's a great question. And it's so great to see so many people here. Did I hear that your school, your high school is like 3,100 students? Is that?
Something like that.
That's insane. I think I had 200 in my high school in Michigan. So that's a lot of potential energy there. And what I want to add to what you said is pissed off young people, informed pissed off young people, because that's really the key with the age of misinformation, false information, alt facts, etc. It's really important that you all, check your sources when you're getting the information that you're using to tell your stories. I think, from my perspective, communicating science, climate change is sort of one of these things that's been politicized because it's very hard for people that especially don't live near the ocean or places where climate change is so readily easy to see with your eye. Communicating with people like that is a challenge. If it's not happening in my own backyard, what impact does this really have on my life? So it's a real challenge to communicate that, and I think DiCaprio does a great job of doing it. You call it 5 acts, I would call it 3, but that's just, plus an intro and a conclusion, so there we got 5. The real key to telling a story, though, any story, is through someone that wants something, right? DiCaprio's sort of on this journey of discovery and understanding, and if my understanding is correct, you guys are kind of working on your own films, or might be working on your own films. If you're trying to get across some sort of scientific concept or explain a theory or something along these lines, audiences are going to fall asleep very quickly. The real key to telling a story or making a film is to have a character that is compelling and sympathetic that the audience can relate to. In this case, it's DiCaprio going on his journey of understanding. It's not a PowerPoint presentation of, hey, look at carbon rising, look at sea levels rising. That might be great with an audience of scientists, but you need to find that person or that group. Maybe it's a scientist, or maybe it's a young person like these kids here that I was in American Samoa 2 weeks ago, and these young kids are jumping off of an old boat and near the island or off the island of Oahu, and the ocean is their habitat. I'm actually doing a documentary short film about a gentleman who is an American Samoan. He was an Army Ranger, served in Afghanistan. He's got stories about landing in trees and having to deploy his reserve parachute to stay warm for the night because he was stuck in that tree until he was discovered by other soldiers, and eventually found his way back to American Samoa after he was done with his service, and now he runs our small boats there. And he wakes up every morning by praying, takes a boat to work, drives then across the island, and then runs up the boats for our offices out there. I could just say, culture in American Samoa is going to be preserved by working to protect the ocean environment that surrounds American Samoa. I could just tell you that. But by showing you the life of this guy, the fact that he has to take a boat to work every day, the fact that he served in the military and had friends that died and sacrificed so much so that he could carry this message of hope to these kids. And he survived, right? So he's there, and now he got this job working for the government, operating these boats. That's a story. What does he want these kids to have, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now? By showing you that, you're probably going to take more interest in what's happening to the coral reefs around American Samoa. So you need to find characters that illustrate the point that you're trying to make. And if you can do that, you can do it well, and you can do it in a 3 acts or 5 acts, you all can make a difference. So, does anybody have any questions on that?
We'll do questions at the end.
Okay.
They're fantastic. I really appreciate the specificity in what you're saying, right? Like you want to zoom in on concrete human stories that illustrate these grand issues. And there is a grand drama playing out. So James, you work at the University of Maryland's School of Public Policy. At the School of Public Policy, and you work on climate implementation. We heard a bit about the Paris Agreement and this sort of grand national and international story playing out in front of us. I wonder if maybe you could both leave just a little bit of your personal story and why you do this work into an explanation of the national and international stakes, particularly in the context of the most recent election.
Well, yeah, thank you very much for that, and thank you all for being here today. It's really an honor to be here with you talking about how we will address this issue going forward, and can't reiterate enough the importance of youth to this movement and all the energy that you bring today. My former role at the University of Maryland, which still I go back to as much as I can, it was actually as an instructor in a program that was focused on public leadership and youth development to deal with a whole host of issues in our world today. And I think that I sort of heard the call within me that I really wanted to focus more on the climate and environmental piece, which is what my training is in. So I started working at the Center for Global Sustainability a couple of years ago as we were really ramping up for the Paris talks in December of 2015. And one thing that was different about the Paris talks than I'm not sure if you all might be familiar this far back, but in Copenhagen in 2009 was the last time that there was a UN climate conference in which there was all this energy and optimism going into it that we were going to come out with this global climate agreement that all the nations of the world could agree to, and then we would be on track to lower our emissions and then have a sustainable future going forward. And those did fall through. We got some good traction moving forward, but what was different about Paris is that world leaders recognized that this wasn't just something for world leaders to solve. This wasn't just up to national governments to fix, because if you don't have the rest of society behind you, all working in tandem to address this issue, then it's like a house without a foundation. And that was what was so strong about the Paris Agreement, and why the Paris Agreement is still very strong, because world leaders, and even actually on the world leader front, it was quite successful. I mean, you had the record signing of the vast majority of world leaders in one day on Earth Day last year for the Paris Climate Agreement, which was already record time after it had been agreed to in December of 2015. But more importantly, underneath that was all of the different sectors of society that came to the fore saying, we support this. So you had businesses, civil society, which is a fancy way of saying all the nonprofits and NGOs, both in the United States and abroad. You had academia. I worked for the University of Maryland, saying, we support this both with our research clout and with our organizing power. This coming weekend, you all may know, is another opportunity to show up to world leaders in the Science March in DC this Saturday. You also had other stakeholders like youth, you all coming to the fore saying this is the future we are going to inherit and we're not going to back down from advocating for that. And so world leaders, as was depicted in the film, really had the political cover and the popular will to be able to say this is what we are signing on for on behalf of our countries and constituencies. And so now that we think back we think ahead post 2016 election, which many people were surprised by and many people were and still do feel rather discouraged by, you're seeing this wonderful outpouring of energy that might perhaps not have happened if the election had gone a different way, that's saying we're still here and we still very much believe in this. And regardless of what our US president does, we have all these other leaders of the world saying, this is an agreement that is strong, that all of our stakeholders in our societies, business and NGOs and youth and academia, strongly advocated for, and it would be silly to back out of it. I mean, not least because fossil fuels are declining in their viability in terms of competing with renewables and other less emissive forms of energy. So you're seeing this whole wave of transformation that kind of can't really be stopped by one president, although he and his cabinet can do a lot to deter it if we don't step up to say, we still believe in this agreement. And so that's why the march this weekend, the march next weekend are so important, but everything that you all are doing that I heard as we were getting ready to show the film, all the different working groups that you all are establishing to address these different pieces of this issue are so, so important at every level of engagement. And so that's what gives me hope. And it's not just because the US federal government is taking a different turn, although even that, like, there's still rays of hope in there, which we can talk about moving forward. But I think just the fact that the Paris Agreement had so many different sectors of society behind it saying we support this, and governments beyond the United States saying we support this, gives me a lot of hope that while we have to remain vigilant and vocal, we can still have the agreement be effective and move forward for even stronger ambition moving forward.
Cool, thank you so much.